What's up guys, today we are going to be showcasing the newly buffed or like reworked units, Ichigo and Shinra. So on my Ichigo we have glitched and attack. I just don't have enough pearls for glorious, probably not going to get mystical. We're going to put the brute force on him. We also have burning hero, which I'll probably go through the passes in a second. We have techniques, which is avatar, and we have glorious. And then when I'm showcasing his part, I will add the brute force soul onto him. So this will be without buffs, not even idle buff, just to show his their raw DPS. So yeah, let's go into an imp and check it out.
This video is quite a long one, so I've just left the timestamps in the description detailing of Ichigo and all of the Shinra forms.
So yeah, we are in the Babylonian Infinite, which is the hardest infinite for this update. Just showcasing Ichigo. So Ichigo is basically the best starter in the game, and that's because of his passives, which I'll show you when I place him down. So he's one of the best because of his cheat placement of 700. I have glitched on him obviously, but so yeah, this is first ability. Ichigo activates his Kai, buffing his damage by 0.5% times by the mastery count, which is this, and reduces SBA by 0.5% times his mastery count for 30 seconds. So it's basically like a 60-second cooldown. In addition, he gains a temporary 75% chance to deal 2x damage on attacks during the 30 seconds. So yeah, pretty OP. His mastery is basically just like, it gets filled up really fast. So as you can see here, it gets filled up by wave 8, which unlike Gilgamesh's bar is just a bit slow, I guess. So let's check out his passives. Each attack Ichigo performs gains 2+ mastery, up to 100 mastery. So I've gone crit range, so this isn't even the lowest SBA you can get Ichigo, but for 2.65 seconds you can get his mastery to 100 relatively fast. So I'll go through the abilities in a second, but briefly, at 25 mastery you gain 15 crit damage, 50 mastery you gain 10% range, 100 mastery and you gain 10% damage. So this is his latent potential, which is at 25 mastery. It's every 5 attacks Ichigo gains 5% damage, so that's 35% damage already. For each mastery threshold reached, increase by 15%, cap of 30% increase. So I'm not too sure, this could just add together, so 65%, but yeah, I don't know. Roar of the Depraved, every 45 seconds deal 5x Ichigo's damage to all enemies in range and apply better Fear plus Despair. So Fear, Despair, there's debuffs, yeah, they're basically just debuffs and probably weaknesses as well. So where do you see this? You see it on the top icon where it just gives you the timer. Now we're on Society Savior, which is where Ichigo gains 20% more range, crit damage, 15% more crit damage, 10% minus SBA, and gain pressure. So pressure, the stats here, just basically take 20% more damage and movement speed reduction. Deal an additional 100% damage to dark enemies. So that's pretty okay. So that's like 400%. That's basically the same as Kirito, I think. So for his other 100 mastery one, it's True Kai, True Adaptation. For every 50% HP that an enemy does more than this unit's damage, deal 1.5% damage to enemy. So I think it's similar to the Goku passive, where he deals 100% damage to units over 1 trillion health. It's similar to that, but this is basically like a more OP form. I would say more OP because it can do 150% extra, but overall that's pretty overpowered as a unit with like a couple passives, and you gain mastery so quickly that it's like the first few rounds you already have 100 mastery. And for this, I completely forgot about upgrading the unit. But let's check his damage. So 10 mil on the second upgrade, 19.1 onto the next one. I'll turn graphics effect to see the there we go. So he basically does like a spikes attack for cone AoE. 24.3 mil at same SBA, 40 mil, 40.6 in the next one. I'll probably have to disable the ability since it kind of invalidates the result. But yeah, so this is 54.6, now it's 40.6 to 64.9 mil. This is 64.9 to 162 mil, where he gains a new ability, which keeps his cone AoE. But for if we spectate him, it's kind of goofy. But he does like a spit, just a slash attack, I guess, which doesn't really make much sense for cone AoE. I would think slash attack would be circle AoE because it's just in that area. But fine. He's had an SPA increase to 4 seconds. He does 162 mil to 178. Oops. 294 mil. His range increases every time, but I'm not going to really mention that. 211 mil. 227 mil. So he gains a new ability. I'm not going to bother saying that. 406 mil in 6 seconds. So that's just adding 2 extra seconds. And what's the difference here? Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Instead of spikes, it's just like flames, I guess. So he goes to 487 mil, which is approaching, passes the half a billion mark at 568 mil. Goes to 662 mil, and then his final upgrade is 771 mil damage with 127 range and 6 second SPA still. So as like a unit itself is pretty OP. He has a couple different passives. One OP ability that he gets off placement. Basically, like, it's just damage buff. He goes to 1 bill with his ability for 30 seconds. So and his SPA gets halved. Didn't even see that. Basically halved. So basically does what? Double damage, something like that every time he uses his ability. So pretty broken unit. Very strong off the start. That's why it's early meta. So let's move on to the Shinra forms. So now we're next with the Shinra. So for Shinra, his team buff is 25% elemental advantage damage. So I think it's actually will work really well in nature because yeah, fire just beats nature. I have to place it a bit further back since he's quite expensive, not like Ichigo. So we'll place him here. He does 1 mil to start, and my screen is being bombarded with, it just looks like a nuke, I guess, fireworks, something like that. So for him, we'll just put this on 1. He changes utility based off his whatever things you have. So in my team I have 4 fires, so obviously Shinra will be fire. This can change. Normally if you have 3 or more, that's not including Shinra, it will be guaranteed of that element. But if you have 2 of the same, so let's say 2 water, 2 fire, it will turn into neutral because they cancel each other out. He has 6 different paths. Is it 6? I'm not too sure. Yeah, 6 paths. So first one is his fire path. There's nature, water, light, dark, and neutral. So that's just all the elements. So yeah. So for now, we'll just talk about his passives, which is Scorch, take more damage under all sources of burn. And this one's Sunburn, which is 175% of this unit's damage over 4 seconds. Also movement speed reduction. But yeah, so he has 1.5 mil in 2.2 seconds of placement. This guy is crit range. I have most of my units with crit range. Obviously, it could be better. There could be a new meta for him, but I'm too late to change it. So we'll go for the first upgrade. which is 1.5k, 2.45 mil as mentioned, 4.3 mil sunburn. Yep, that's fine. 3 mil, 3.67 mil, 5.9 mil to 8.85 mil for 5k, 13.5 mil for 10.5k, 19.6 mil for 20k, 78.7 mil for 50k, which is quite a jump to be fair, but it's double the SPA. So he's now full AoE, which makes him like significantly better, which is weird because even though he's like full AoE, he only attacks like a circle AoE type. But oh well, that's just ALS for you. Next upgrade, he's 127 mil. Next upgrade, he's 147 mil. And again, I won't be showing like how much damage he does. You can check the wiki if you want to know his like sunburn damage. But yeah, 172 mil for 115k. 206 mil for his Kick Off Despair, which is 130k. His SPA also increases, which is common. And yeah, this weirdly looks like it should be cone AoE, because it just follows a cone, which is fine, whatever. But yeah, he's a 206 mil. He has not gained any passive. And on his final ability, he has Volcanic Eruption. Upon activation, enemies take 100% more damage from all burn sources and 50% more elemental damage from fire element units. Permanently inflicts Scorch on all enemies currently in this unit's range, and enemies which are under the Scorch effect after the use of this ability will take 5x this unit's damage and have Blaze inflicted off that multiplier every 150 seconds. So this guy's pretty okay for him. His damage is lackluster. I do have avatars that glitch for him because I can't be asked to roll on him. But yeah, it's okay. It's a 300-second cooldown, so it's not too bad. But it's more of a support with Scorch, honestly. But yeah, next up, we're moving up to the Nature Path. Yep, so next we have the Nature Path for Shinra. So these units are just placeholder, not going to be based on anything. Yeah, just give a second for me to be able to play Shinra. But I kind of like what the devs did. So the element actually changes with Shinra, which makes sense because before he wasn't able to change, so we'd have the fire element, but his synergy abilities would still be that corresponding element. So in this case, it'll be nature. So now he's changed to nature. He is probably more of a support unit with this one. He applies slow, having their movement speed reduced by 34%. I believe this is the same as Tatsu's one, but Tatsu is still better. Wind Shear, which is like a bit passive. Buffs all bleed sources by 15% while this ability is active. Increase the damage from nature elements units by 5%. So that's pretty good if you have someone like Akame or Red Eye in this game. They'll have buffed bleed or bleed damage. So decrease damage over time, proc time by 10% for 10 seconds. So that's also pretty good. If you have something like a low SPA for this, then it's probably permanently going to be active. And if you have something like Sunburn, where it takes Dark Flames, where it's over an 8-second period, it's only like 7.2 seconds. So devs have been lazy, the attacks are the same, that's fair. Oh, I forgot to upgrade Idol again. That's fine. Does he have any new abilities? Every 5 attacks, this unit has a 0.6% chance to insta-kill an enemy. Pretty OP. I don't think this can work on bosses actually. But yeah, it's a niche. It's quite a good ability. Probably more for Infinite though. yeah, let's go through. So 4.67 mil damage in 2.2k, 8.11 mil in 3.4k, 13.0 mil in 5.4k, 19.6 mil in 8k, 31.9 mil in 17.5k, 49.1 mil in 25.5k, 122 mil in 5.59 seconds for 40k, 172 mil in 65k, 245 mil in 5.59 seconds for 90k, 120k for 295 mil, 614 mil for 150k, 150k, 688 mil for 8.94 seconds. Pretty. I think this Shinra is probably better than the Fire. The Fire used to be the best pre-update, sorry, but now he's just kind of fallen off. Nature's probably one of the most dominant ones. So Purification of Life. Upon activation, decrease the HP of all enemies in range by 15% of their current HP. So I'm not going to show it now, but if there was a boss, it would just like take off 15% of the health. Pretty OP. 2,500 seconds cooldown. So you're gonna not probably in like any progressive mode you use that once. In maybe a few times, but not too often. So yeah, that's it for Nature Shinra. So now we are on Water Shinra. His element's obviously water since it changes. So obviously for Shinra, I've seen some things in the Discord, but people are saying that to get a good Shinra form, you need to change your entire team comp, which is true. But I believe Light is quite a good path for Shinra, which I'll be showcasing in a second. So here we have Shinra, who does Blizzard, which is pretty OP. Ice Queen has Blizzard, I believe, as well. I think it's Blizzard, I'm not too sure. Yeah, so synergy with water. Deal 100% damage to fire enemies, and all water units in the range receive a blessing from this unit. Blessing increases their damage by 15% and their range by 20. So it's pretty OP. Water form is more of a support unit than an attack one. But yeah, let's check out the damage for it. So all the forms, as you've noticed, have different damage according to what element they are. So 2.5 mil and 2k, not 2k, sorry. 3.68 mil and 2k, 5.9 mil and 3.5k, 8.85 mil and 5k, 13.5 mil and 10.5k, 19.6 mil and 20k, 78.7 mil and 50k, 127 mil and 85k. Yeah, just wait a bit for money. But honestly, Shinra's probably top 3 Godlies, if not top 2. Gilgamesh is probably top 1 Godly. But he's just so versatile in any team. Any element will be good for him. Obviously, there's better or worse synergies with teams and stuff. Like I think Light Dark is pretty dominant in this update. Like Gilgamesh, Asta, Goku. I know Ichigo got a buff as well. So yeah, of course they're gonna be quite strong in this meta. Next is 172 mil in 100k, 221 mil in 115k. Now we go to Kick of Despair, 244 mil in 130k. And then for the final upgrade, we have 368 mil in 6.71 seconds with a range of around 100. So yeah, he gains a new ability. His Blizzard at 701 mil, so basically just a billion damage. Yeah, billion damage total. So now his ability: freeze all enemies in the map for 25 seconds. Once this freeze wears off, deal 20x damage to all enemies in range, and all water elements units deal 50% more damage for the next 100 seconds. So it's pretty OP. 25-second freeze. It's kind of worse than Gojo really. Once this freeze wears off, 20x damage. So that's pretty OP. Obviously, glitched on him would be substantially better than Avatar, since his ability relies on it really. But yeah, he's pretty OP. Let's go on to the next one, which is the light path. So yep, here's a light version of Shinra. So I kind of have high hopes of this guy. So here we go. Before I forget, I'm going to place him idle. So light does bolt damage, which is 120% of this unit's damage over 5 seconds. I'm not thinking about everyone. Okay, so over light, every 150 seconds, deal 5x this unit's current damage and apply bolt off that multiplier. Each time an enemy is hit with this passive, permanently increase damage through bolt by 20%. So every time basically it's hit. I would love to see it here, which is it is. So basically this is more of an inf ability, I can't lie, because you can increase bolt damage, which is good for Wukong because he has a good bolt. But yeah, it's probably more inf where slows and stuff are more used. So let's go into the abilities. So 4.91 mil damage for 2.5k, 8.6 mil for 4k, 14 mil for 8k, 27 mil for 17.5k, 39.3 mil for 30k, 49.1 mil for 5k, 51.6 mil for 80k, 66.4 mil for 125k, 88.5 mil for 130k, 113 mil for 150k, which I'm gonna get into a second. So I believe fire was one of the only ones without full AoE at the end, which kind of makes it worse, honestly. Most of the Shinras have full AoE in the end. So yeah, I guess that's just a shame. So next ability, we're going into the final, which I look stupid now, don't I? Oh, I look really stupid here. Damn. Well, that was kind of, yeah, whatever. Now we have 233 mil for 250k for final upgrade, and for his ability we have deal 15x damage and apply bolt off that multiplier to all enemies in range for the next 60 seconds. All incoming bolt and plasma damage is increased by 50%. So this ability really synergizes with Wukong, who has bolt damage for his main character, and then all his summons, which is 10, extra plasma damage. Fair enough. Has a cooldown of 200. Pretty okay, not too bad. We'll go on to the next one, which is Dark. So now we have the Dark version of Shinra. So the Dark version's probably pretty OP version. I believe he has black flames, I could be wrong. But yeah, just give it a second to place it down. So now place it down. Yeah, I'm right. He does do black flame, which is probably one of the best passives in the game for damage. Benimaru has this. So yeah. So it does 7 mil. And he does Despair, which is causes enemies to take 50% more damage from all elements except dark. Slows enemies down by 20% of the current speed. 15% more damage over time. 15% more crit damage for 15 seconds with 60-second cooldown. Well, that's honestly, that is pretty OP. Probably even could have Dark Flames on its own, and it's probably already quite good. So now we have his Dark passive, which says when attacking Dark element enemies, deal 100% more damage to them, and each time he attacks one, slow them down by 35% of their current speed for 8 seconds. 20 second cooldown. If this unit is stunned, remove the stun and deal 5x damage to all enemies in range. So that's good for progressives like not Infinity Castle, in Sun Jin-woo dungeon, Monarch's dungeon, whatever, where it passively stuns you for a bit. But Dark is pretty OP. I would say one of the best so far. So 7.87 mil for 6k, 12.2 mil for 8k, 17.7 mil for 10k, 27 mil for 20k, 44.2 mil for 40k, 98.3 mil for 80k. There again, some ability. His Dark Flames are already doing 472 mil, 122 mil for 120k. 147 mil for 150k, 172 mil for 175k. Doesn't feel like that's substantial for an upgrade. Like was it water? Yeah, it was water. With water, it was going up to what, the 800 millions. But that's kind of because the Blizzard ability probably. 175 mil, 172k. 211 mil for Kick of Despair. So here, Kick of Despair, which I kind of hate. I'm gonna be honest. Look, it's just reusing his old abilities, but every different element has their own different attack pattern, like order. So I remember one was full AoE, then cone AoE, but this time it's circle AoE. For this one, where it should be, it looks like a cone AoE. I'm just gonna say that. So final is 200k for 245 mil damage for 10-second SPA, which is kind of high. Honestly, I think it might be better off with what's it called? A higher SPA to get over 10 seconds for the Black Flame, which is 1.18 bill. So upon activation, remove 35% of the strongest enemies in range HP. Doesn't work on bosses. Inflict a permanent variant of Despair. Deal 500 billion damage to all enemies on the map. So that's like a slightly better version of Gojo's Mook, which does 400 billion, if you think enough. It's okay, the abilities, okay, that's fine. I think it's pretty good form though, because of his Dark Black Flames. Benimaru does basically similar damage to that, to be fair. But yeah, Shinra's a better Benimaru. Now we'll be moving on to the last one, which is the neutral path. So here we are doing the neutral form. So for the neutral form, you will need to get 2 units of 2 different elements. So in this case, I'm using 2 dark, 2 light, and your spare unit, just make sure it's not any of those 2 units. So you have 3 element units, or else Shinra will turn into that element, obviously. So for Shinra, he actually doesn't have a special element, because neutral isn't really an element. I'd actually like to see Perfect Seal for neutral, honestly. I think that would be a nice touch, but obviously that's not going to happen. For his ability, opposite direction. This unit nullifies weakness against water enemies, dealing neutral damage to them in return. This unit deals 50% less damage to nature enemies. So basically, he does 100% damage to water, 250% damage to nature. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's like the worst of like passives, but it's definitely not like one of the best, since I've just noticed that this Shinra isn't ground, isn't hybrid. So we're gonna place an asset at the back. I wasn't going to, but I'm just gonna lose this if he's not hybrid, which is actually a really big pain. So this kind of shows how lackluster this is. 14 mil and 5k, 22.1 mil and 7.5k, 31.9 mil and 10k, 54.1 mil and 19.5k, 83.6 mil and 30.5k, 196 mil and 65k. Hopefully this guy turns hybrid. Yeah, he does. 201 mil and 100k. And we're just waiting for a bit of money. So 221 mil and 150k. 230. 221 mil. I'm actually like having a stroke today. I can't remember. 231 mil now for 250k. Which the second one have money to go for it. Kick of Despair. So he does not gain any damage. Actually, he does technically gain DPS for having a lower SBA, but it's pretty expensive to be fair. It's kind of doubling his damage. So this will be the same as having a 5-second SBA and a 460 mil damage, basically. Which kind of works out for him. Low SBA is normally better than high SBA, just in general, even if the DPS was the same. So, on the tier lists for Anime Last Stand, I believe that Neutral's put as like one of the highest in progressive. Not too sure about Infinite. So, click that one. Oh, he's actually a straight line, which now it makes sense because I swear this was like his circle ability, wasn't it? That's crazy. And again, ALS with the bugginess. So this actually makes sense for a line, but it somehow goes off here. When it makes no sense. It should kind of end where his AoE ends. Fine, whatever. But for his final ability, it's 600k for 241 mil, which is kind of high. Yeah, so I would say that's pretty high. 600k for Gilgamesh unlocks his final ability, which is the strongest nuke in the game. Does Shinra do this? We'll find out in like 1 or 2 ways, I guess. I don't think they will, to be fair. His line AoE, I think that's the only line AoE Shinra has for his attack AoEs. So yep, 241 mil in 2 seconds. That's okay. So Fabric of Reality, send all enemies back to spawn and decrease all units' abilities by 90%. Enemies who are affected by this rewind will be permanently slowed down by 20% of the speed they had when they were being rewinded. This will also deal 150 billion damage, reduce all enemies' HP by 5%. That's a pretty substantial ability actually. It mixes like, it gives me like Immortal King vibe, where it just like rewinds enemies. So sending back to spawn, that's similar to Giorno's, probably just copying abilities. All units abilities by 90%. That's pretty big, yeah. So like Asta, I think, I don't even know, I'm not even bothered trying to guess. But it's a nuke ability, it reduces HP, it's basically just another good ability. So yeah, that's it for the showcase. It's been kind of crap, I'm not gonna lie. I've yapped a bit too hard on everything. But I guess this is one of my first videos. Any tips, let me know in the comments. Cheers.